I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is an alleged murder plot in paradise. It involves money, lust, and deceit. It's the story of college sweethearts whose relationship broke bad. Here's the story. From the outside, everything seemed amazing. Former beauty queen and cheerleader Lindsay Shiver married her college sweetheart, Robert Shiver. He was a football player at Auburn and came from a family with lots of wealth. Life was good. The good-looking young couple had 3 boys and lived in a $2.5 million home in Thomasville, Georgia. They flew on his family's private jet and had a vacation home in the Bahamas. And that's where this story turns bad. Lindsay allegedly had an affair with a younger man who lived on the islands and worked at Grabber's Bar. Robert found out about it and filed for divorce. Things got nasty, and that's where this story turns really bad. Lindsay, along with her Bahamian boyfriend, are accused of soliciting a hitman to kill Robert. Lindsay and the other 2 men connected to the alleged murder plot are out on bond waiting for their trial, and many are wondering, can prosecutors prove that these 3 are guilty in the love triangle murder plot in paradise? Things are complicated when you're married and you have 3 kids and you have money, and then there's problems in the relationship. And that's what's happening here with Lindsay and Robert Shiver. So I want to play for you some body cam video because police were called and responded to the home when Robert and Lindsay had an issue. Now, this is July 16th of 2023. Key date in all of this. July 16th, 2023, Robert and Lindsay are there, and police respond, and they start spewing all of their issues for the officer. Let's take a listen.
So what's going on? Y'all are separated, or what's the deal?
We have filed for divorce.
Okay.
Living in the same house. It's hell on earth, as you can imagine.
Okay.
But anyway, woke up this morning. We have travel plans to leave. And he's insisting that I don't go.
Okay.
And then I have my keys. He moves me out of the way, starts trying to unload my car. Tells me he owns the car, he owns the rights to it. Just got super aggressive, and that's when I called immediately because he's been physical before, and I'm just not.
Okay.
Not doing that.
So are you just wanting to leave? Or is he supposed to be going with you?
Yeah, we're supposed to be going with our kids.
So what's going on this morning?
So for the last 3 weeks, maybe longer, she's had her couples trip planned with her boyfriend to go to Key West.
Okay, but she just said you're going.
That was to Key West.
But they don't.
I'm taking my kids, my 3 boys, to the Bahamas this morning.
Our kids.
Our kids. Yesterday, she sent a message saying that she's going to change her plans and now get on the airplane with me and the kids to go to the Bahamas.
That I own too,
and
by the
when we
way.
land, she's going to go to her boyfriend.
Elsewhere.
And me and the kids are going to our house. And I told her I'm not supporting that. And you're not getting on the airplane. That can mess with the kids' heads. And it's just something we're not going to do.
So they got the private plane that they've been using to go to the Bahamas, right? It's Robert's family's plane. And Lindsay, you see they're speaking publicly about her having this boyfriend, and they have like some retreat planned together. Robert's taking the kids to the Bahamas. So there's this big back and forth. That is July 16th, 2023. That same day, police down in the Bahamas are investigating a break-in to the Grabber's Bar. This is the bar where Lindsay's boyfriend works. And during the course of that investigation, they get their hands on Lindsay's boyfriend's phone and take a look at some of the messages in the phone. And while they're doing that, they stumble into what they believe and what they say is some murder plot here. Take a look. This is from the Daily Mail UK report. And this is the communication that they say was on the phone between Lindsay, not between Lindsay, but between Lindsay's boyfriend and his friend on the island there. So it's Terrance Bethel and Newbold. These are the 2 co-defendants in the case. This bleep rolled up on Lindsay and wouldn't let her on the plane, and he put his hands on her I'm about to come out of retirement for this. That's what Bethel's alleged to have written to his childhood friend. He's flying into Baker's Bay. She is thinking about letting me kill him, but he has the kids. Now, take a look at this also from Daily Mail UK report. Cops arrested Shiver 5 days later on July 21st, examined her iPhone, and discovered she had sent Newbold Jr., that's her boyfriend's childhood friend, several pictures of her husband, Robert Shiver, along with a text stating, quote, "Kill him," it's alleged. Wow. So, that brings me to my first question in this investigation. And it's about Lindsay and Robert, this couple. What was the status of their relationship? Like, what is going on here at this moment, at this point in time? How do you go from the $2.5 million home, the private jet, college sweethearts, to now we're talking about allegations of murder for hire? Joining me, the host of the podcast, Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Tony Bruschi, our friend, is back with us. Also joining us, psychotherapist and CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, and boy, did they need that, Dr. Janie Lacey. Thank you both for being here. Tony, paint more of this picture for us, Tony. Like, what's going on in their relationship in this tumultuous spring into summertime?
Well, they're in the process of ending the relationship, but they're still together, basically, I would say, for the kids in the same house as they're starting to try and figure out who's going to go where and what's going to do what. But at the same time, they're sharing a lot of the same pieces of life. So that's where chaos starts to ensue. Here we see they're about to go on a family trip, or at least that was the original idea, until she decides, hey, can I take advantage of the family jet and go with you guys? And then just tell the kids, bye, mommy's going to go see boyfriend for a little bit. Well, you guys go enjoy your time. That's essentially what's happening. And it feels like he's just kind of trying to keep it together amongst the madness that continues to overflow every day in his house.
Dr. Janie Lacey, as I look at this situation, divorce is never easy. And I said off the top, it gets much more complicated when you have lots of money and you've got young children and you've got allegations of infidelity all mixed here in the sauce. What's your analysis of where this relationship was and what was going on in their lives and what's going on psychologically with this couple?
Well, it's not uncommon, Vinny, that when couples are uncoupling and they have assets, they have children, they have all these things, but they also have infidelity, betrayal, trauma, lies, all the different moving parts. So when I see and I hear them, I can only imagine that Robert is exactly trying to keep things together, but also has a conflict inside, especially if he knows that his wife has a boyfriend, and that's the reason why he's filed for divorce. And she wants her cake and eat it too, essentially is what we're hearing Robert describe on this video. So what I would suggest and what I would say based off of what we're seeing is that, she had this delusion that she was truly being able to be entitled to the things of a marital, from her marital home and her marital assets and just being a married woman, but on the same token, wanted to still have fun with her boyfriend. And Robert having boundaries and speaking up for that is what we were watching. And that would be normal in this case for him to have boundaries and say, hey, I'm not going to support you running off with your boyfriend. So that would be reasonable on his side of things.
And Tony, trying to figure out what's going on with Lindsay at that point, it seems at this point, things were like, it wasn't like a quick fling, like there were actual, real, true feelings. And I mean, it happens, right? It can happen. You can go to Grabber's Bar in the Bahamas and fall in love with someone. But it seemed like there was some level of intensity to the relationship.
Yeah, I mean, who knows exactly how it began, but clearly this is an individual. Lindsay was someone who felt she was missing something in her life. I don't know what. I mean, she had the private jet, she had a great family, she had a good husband from everything we can tell, but something was missing. So she filled that void with the boyfriend that she found at Grabber's Bar. It's exciting, it's wonderful. And sometimes when you need those emotional voids filled, money, planes, power, none of that really matters when you're feeling that way.
And Dr. Janey, I look at the prospect of divorce, right? Like the allegation here is that she wants him killed, right? That's just the allegation. She's saying, no, that was not what's going on here. But if we work under that presumption for just a moment, what would take someone to that level in a situation like this versus I get a divorce? If I get half of the $2.5 million mansion in South Georgia, I mean, I'm doing all right. If I get a couple of weeks in the Bahamas and a couple of trips on the jet, I'm going to have a good life anyway. And how do you get from point A to point B if what prosecutors are saying here is true?
Well, we can make some assumptions about Lindsay just based off of what we are hearing the allegations to be. So some of those assumptions would probably be in the marriage or even before the situation, potentially entitlement and just used to getting her way, right? So some of these characteristics would probably be already deeply embedded in her. And then to get to this place of delusion, a lot of times people get drunk with love, so to speak, and they want to remove the barrier to whatever may be preventing them from pursuing that love relationship. But that darkness that we're seeing potentially, if these allegations turn out to be true, that would be something that was birthed in her way before this happened, because most people are not going to just wake up and say, hey, I'm going to kill my husband so I can go with my lover. So in this particular situation, I would say this is indicating some things that she may have been operating from, and I would say some strong entitlement and probably used to getting her way and doing that at all costs, and looking at this husband of hers who she's raised a family with as an object of as an object to block her from getting what she thought she would get from this potential lover in the Bahamas.
And Dr. Ady, one final question, and I don't know, maybe I'm old-fashioned here, but should we be shocked that a couple that met in college, right? They were like, she's the beauty queen cheerleader, he's the football player, right? They fall in love, they went to college together, so they sort of grew into adulthood together, and then have 3 young children together, that at that point things would fall apart?
Well, Vinny, us being people of wisdom, we know sometimes that people couple at a young age, whether it's college because it makes sense and all these other things. But when people truly don't know who they are and they're not firm on their values and their integrity, then that's when things fall apart. But when people get together and they have their similar values, they have more similarities and they have differences, they are people of integrity. Because even if she wasn't getting her needs met in this relationship, if her personal values can say that we can go to counseling, I could approach Robert, there's other options than to cross boundaries in this situation. So sometimes discovering who they are happens in the relationship, but they can grow together. In this case, that was not the case.
All right. Well, Dr. Janey Lacey, thank you so much. Great to see you. Tony's going to stay with us. Coming up next, we're going to break it down. What exactly is the prosecution's case?
What's your reaction to seeing Robert for the first time today?
Watching where you're going.
We want to understand the mindset behind your actions in this case. Tell me, why are you here?
She needed payback.
Payback with her life?
Very funny, really. I'm laughing. Did you see me? I laugh.
I don't want any of this. Are you not prepared today to take responsibility for any of your crimes?
Interview with a Killer, a Court TV original series. Premieres October 20th, only on Court TV.
Lindsay, your reaction to going home. Your message for the boys. Mr. Wells, what's your reaction?
None at this time. Do you have any comment?
Do you still love Lindsay? What were you guys saying in court today? Would you ever want to hurt Robert, or is this all just accusations with no... Do you have any comment?
That's Matt Johnson down in the Bahamas trying to get some comments from Lindsay Shiver and her boyfriend, or ex-boyfriend perhaps at this point, I'm not sure, Terrance Bethel. And they weren't saying much about the case about what was happening there. And those are two of the three defendants in this case. And they're all out on bond, so they're walking around waiting for their trial to begin. But I want you to take a look at this from some of the court documents. On Thursday, the 20th of July, 2023, at about 2 o'clock, during an active investigation of a shop-breaking report that took place at Grabber's Bar. So there was some crime that was being investigated at Grabber's Bar. Investigators executed an electronic search warrant of a cell phone belonging to Terrance Adrian Bethel, uncovering a plot with Lindsay Shiver to kill Robert Shiver, the legal husband of the suspect's sweetheart. And there they're referring to the suspect being Terrance Bethel. So he was being investigated for this shop break at Grabber's Bar. And during the course of that investigation, they're looking at his phone and, wow, what is this? Oh, this looks like a murder plot. We got to jump on this. This is a little bit bigger than the break-in over at the bar. So that's how this investigation begins. And that brings me to my next question in this investigation, which is all about what's going to take place in the courtroom. What is the prosecution's case? How are you going to prove this international murder in paradise plot? Still with us, host of the podcast Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi, and joining us, criminal defense attorney, former federal prosecutor Tim Jansen. Great to have you both here. I want to go through a little bit more of the court documents so I can get your analysis of all this. So the defendants, according to the documents, were later arrested. Detectives executed a search warrant for electronic devices. On the devices on them were a number of WhatsApp messages that were extracted from the aforementioned phones, suggesting a plot to kill Robert Shiver. So we got WhatsApp. The defendants were interviewed. They all offered no comment to the allegations and were invited to give a written statement, but declined. The defendant, there she is, Lindsay Shiver, was re-interviewed, where she was asked a series of questions. She admitted to sending messages and photos to the defendant, Farron Newbold, saying, "Kill him." Tim Jansen, let me begin with you. Evaluating that prosecution case, how strong do you see it? She's sending these messages from the United States. The other two defendants at the time are in the Bahamas. What's your analysis here?
Well, one, we have the original tape at the house where she was not allowed to go to see her boyfriend. She's got a motive, right? They're investigating a separate crime. So it's not like Newbold flipped on her. They got an independent investigation, and they find these text messages with pictures saying, "Kill him," right after this motive. And we have her admitting that she sent them. So we have motive, we have the conspiracy, and we have co-conspirators admitting to it. Now, Newbold's not saying anything. Silence by affirmation. He's the local, right? She has all the motive, and she's sending pictures, "Kill him." It's a pretty strong case.
Now, my understanding, Tony, is it all starts on WhatsApp. And what's not clear to me is this a conversation among the three of them? Are there separate conversations to each one? And to me, that's pretty crucial here in who she is communicating with and how those communications could be interpreted.
I think you're exactly right. And the reality is we don't know the extent of all of those conversations. Some of that is still going to be coming out in court. We know that there certainly was those communications between the three of them, probably all together at some points, probably one-on-one at others. I think what you really have here are three different people gauging the seriousness of the request from Lindsay in three different ways. And the question of how serious Lindsay was is obviously one of the key pieces of all of this. But there's two conversations, or that one conversation that we saw in the text between the hitman and the boyfriend, that did not feel to me like just an average, "Hey, let's hear how's your girlfriend doing? What's going on in her life?" It wasn't just the, "Oh, you're just kind of stressed out. There's some stuff going on with her ex." It's like, "She's thinking of letting me kill him." That's not a normal thing you would say to your friend. ever.
Yeah. He also said, I've got to come out of retirement, and I'm wondering what that means and if there's some evidence about what he used to do that prosecutors could use here. Let me ask you, Tim, do you see these three defendants differently? And do you think you're in a foreign jurisdiction, right? So you've got two that are locals, one from the United States. How do you see that impacting everything here?
Well, she's the odd person out, right? One of the locals' father is involved politically in the Bahamas, and the other's a local, so they're going to have some benefit other than the rich girl that's coming down here, having an affair with the guy, trying to convince him and his friend to kill this other rich guy, her husband. So I think if there's going to be a deal, it's going to be for them, not for her, because but for her, there wouldn't have been them.
And Tony, I guess the million-dollar question is, will they be united? I mean, at one point, it seemed like they had the same attorney, and I don't know if it's going to continue that way. It's kind of a quirky thing in the Bahamas, would never happen here in the United States. But will they be unified, or could they potentially turn on one another?
I can't imagine they're going to stay unified. There's no reason for them to stay unified. They're going to turn on one each other. They're going to do what's going to be best individually for each and every one of them.
Yeah, and Tim, we have about 10 seconds here or so, but how strange is it if all three have one attorney?
That would never happen. We had one that happened in the Markel case down here for Donald Adelson. That blew up. I don't see it's going to happen in the Bahamas.
All right. A lot more to get to, folks. I'm Vinnie Politan. Doesn't matter if we're in the sand in the Bahamas. We'll still dig for those answers as the investigation continues. I'm Vinnie Politan. We continue our investigation into an alleged murder plot in Paradise. It's the story of a beauty queen who married rich and then found a new man from the Bahamas. Here's the story. Lindsay and Robert Shiver seemed to be living a fairy tale life together. At Auburn, he was the football star and she was the cheerleader and pageant queen. They got married, started a family, and had 3 wonderful boys. They lived in a sprawling mansion in Thomasville, Georgia, and flew a private jet to their vacation home in the Bahamas. Life was good. Then Robert allegedly caught Lindsay having an affair with a bartender from Grabber's Bar in the Bahamas. He filed for divorce. She filed for divorce. But they continued to live together, and 911 calls were made to police. Then, on July 16th, she allegedly sent a message with her boyfriend to another man to have Robert killed. Now, all 3 are charged in this murder plot in Paradise and are out on bond awaiting their 2025 trial that could send them away for decades inside a Bahamian prison. Yeah, it's no fun in a Bahamian prison. I mean, for anyone, but for an American. And then, you know, she's been living the life that she's been living, which is a nice life. A very, very nice life, a very seemingly normal life. You go to college, you marry your sweetheart, you have children, you start raising the kids, but then things fell apart. But the question here really, though, is like, did she really want her husband murdered? I mean, that's a big, big step in all of this. So what I want to do right now is kind of take a look at the timeline so you have a better idea of what was happening in their lives and then how you get from that point A to point where there's an allegation that she's planning and plotting the murder of her husband. Take a look. On February 18th, Lindsay Shiver went away for a weekend trip without her family. On February 20th, Robert called 911, afraid Lindsay was setting him up. The last week of March, Lindsay, Robert, and the kids go to the Bahamas for spring break. On April 5th, Robert files for divorce. On April 6th, Lindsay files for divorce. On April 12th, Robert calls 911 about a strange package. On April 30th, Robert, his mother, and Lindsay call 911 during a custody exchange. On July 16th, Lindsay calls 911 because Robert won't let her on their private jet. On July 16th, Lindsay allegedly sends the "kill him" message to the hitman. On July 21st, Lindsay is arrested. So you can see there was, even before this alleged message is sent, there are other problems here. Strange packages, they're filing for divorce. They had just gone on spring break together as a family. So things were a mess. But it all comes back to that text messages with those two words, "kill him." So that brings me to my next question in this investigation. What is their defense? The three defendants, like, what are they going to say? Like, how are they going to explain the text message and the picture and all these communications that prosecutors say point to a plot to kill Robert Shiver? Joining me, host of the podcast Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Tony Bruschi is with us. Tony, this to me, trying to understand their defense, and I want to put this up on the screen. This is from an ABC News interview that Terrance, the boyfriend, did. "I'm definitely not guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. And Phelo's not guilty of being a hired hitman either. It's time to let the world know we're innocent." She sends the picture that was just sent to her when she found out that he was there and the kids were home. That's when she was like, "kill him." Whenever she gets into an argument with him and she tells me about it, of course I'm livid. But planning to murder him? No. So it seems that this defense is going to go down the road of we're all interpreting the words "kill him" incorrectly.
Yes, because it's easy to misinterpret "kill him." What else could it possibly mean? That does seem to be the road that they are going down. This is one big misunderstanding that, she was, in the heat of the moment and just saying stuff, and it means nothing. Everybody looked the other way, that's all. Ultimately, what it's going to come down to is the information we don't know about yet. What are they holding behind the curtain with the prosecution of this case? What are we going to find out that was communicated beyond just the "kill him"? What are we going to find out, if anything, that relates to her husband, Robert, feeling paranoid, wondering about that USB drive that showed up at his house and the other place as well? What caused all of these things, and what was going on with the three of them? Those are the key pieces that the Bohemian authorities believe they have enough to put them away on. I guess we'll find out. I'm going to hope that it's far more than just the "kill him" text that we all are aware of right now.
Also with us right now, criminal defense attorney, former federal prosecutor Tim Jansen. Tim, when you send a message like "kill him," I mean, if you had the LOL there, or you had some emoji that would soften it. But I think what Bethel is trying to say, and this may be crucial as well, between the picture and the "kill him," if there's a time lapse between the two. And I think what they're trying to say is, listen, if he left the kids alone and is hanging out at the bar with some girl, just kill him, because the kids are in danger. Meaning I'm gonna kill him, that kind of. What are your thoughts about the effectiveness of that argument and that defense?
Well, I think it is important because, right, you got a conspiracy, which means you have to have two people agree to commit a crime. He's saying he wasn't in agreement to commit the crime. And in order to get a conviction in this case, you're going to need a narrator, or you're going to need a co-conspirator to explain what it meant, how he took it. I agree. We need to see what the text messages say in context, what else was sent before. You go back and you look, compare it to a baseball game where the guy yells, "Kill the guy, kill him." You're saying it, but does that really mean kill him? And I would say, as her defense lawyer, of course I admitted that I sent that, but I didn't mean it. I was mad because I couldn't go see my lover. I was mad about this and that, but I really didn't mean it. I was just acting out of frustration, and he's the only person that would listen to me because he loves me.
Yeah. So trying to get into the context of what is happening in their lives, Tony, seems so crucial here. Obviously, they're done, but the kids are in the middle of all of it. And if she's going to lean on the fact that her concern was that the kids were alone at the time, that needs to be, I think, verbalized somewhere, somehow, right? That like, hey, I'm really concerned, rather than just Terrance sort of giving that to ABC News.
Yeah, I mean, I think the context is key in all of this. How were these things stated? When were they stated? Why were they stated? Was there a pause in between these sort of things? I saw that interview on ABC News, and I mean, he comes across as very genuine. He comes across as very laid back. And like I said earlier, I think we're really dealing with three different people who had different levels of belief on the sincerity of carrying out this plan. I think some were more on board, some were not. Some may have just thought it was just someone's letting off steam and it will go away at some point.
Tim Jansen, is it a defense that it wasn't a serious plot to kill him if they didn't kill him?
Well, the question is, are they going to convict her of solicitation and find them not guilty of conspiracy because they never agreed, but she reached out and wanted to have him killed? So could the defendants, the young men, could they skate by no conspiracy and she still get convicted of solicitation?
That seems to potentially fit in all of this. I think if you have these messages, and I'm looking at what this trial is going to look like, Tony, what's going to be crucial, I think, like he spoke to ABC News, they put a gag order on everything now, but the time to speak is going to be inside the courtroom. I think these three folks who are accused here need to all explain from their perspective what these communications were really about. And to me, that's the road to a potential not guilty, is explaining it and the triers of fact believing them to a certain extent.
And the content of their character, the way they present themselves in that courtroom, is going to be paramount. You don't want to be arrogant. You don't want to act like, oh, how can anybody think this? They need to go in humble. They need to look like, look, this really was, we feel horrible. This shouldn't have gone this way. We should have spoken up. We should have explained this better. But this is truly what it is, and we are truly sorry. Judging by the video we see of her right now walking around the courthouse, there's this smirk, there's this arrogance, and I don't know, it's probably a nightmare for her attorney that you're going to break that of Lindsay Shiver once she's in that courtroom.
Yeah. Tim, we have about 15 seconds here. Your final thoughts on what this trial is going to look like?
I'm curious to see if she testifies. I'm curious what her demeanor is going to be. That's important because she's the rich girl, right? Coming down to this little island and using these young locals who are tending bar to commit a crime for her to keep her money.
Tim Jansen, thanks so much. Tony's going to stick around. Still to come, what is going on now in their personal lives?
Where's your husband been staying?
Oh, at my house.
Okay.
It's a lovely situation.
One of the most successful true crime TV shows ever.
This is crazy.
Now has a new home on America's original true crime obsession, 48 Hours on Court TV. Coming up next on Court TV.
An A-list actor charged in a fatal shooting on a film set.
There is no way for the court to right this wrong.
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rollins. Season finale Sunday night, 8/7 Central.
Only on Court TV.
My wife and I are going through a divorce, and I've been gone all weekend, and she just threatened myself and my mother to bring the kids back, and her mom is saying to take her to the ER and check her into some mental some institution, because they think she's having kind of a midlife crisis mental breakdown, so it's super unstable.
That's Robert Shiver speaking about Lindsay Shiver and referring to her as unstable. I mean, things were not good in this relationship at all. The breakup was happening, but they were still together. You've got the children, you've got the big house, you've got to try to figure things out. And then with the custody issues and calls to 911, I want you to take a look at this because police were called by Lindsay and also called by her in-laws on a custody exchange situation. Take a look.
Lindsay Shiver?
Yeah.
Okay. My in-laws are in the parking lot right there. In the white Lexus.
Yeah.
I've tried to call them. This is my attorney on the phone. And have not been able to get a hold of them. But that's what I was calling for, was for y'all to come meet with me because we're trying to meet up with my husband right now. They were headed home, and then I get the message that he's dropping them with his parents, who have no rights.
Okay.
So as a witness for me, that's why I called y'all, to meet me at his parents' house.
You called?
I called. I was the first one to call.
The whole reason we're here is they said that you were following them, and they said you were harassing them. And let me read it. I'm pretty sure they said threatening them, but if you didn't talk to them, then
I didn't talk to them at all.
they were saying that you were following them, obviously, and that you got a gun, which isn't illegal. It doesn't
No, I don't, though.
It doesn't matter, though.
But I don't.
And
Oh my God.
yeah,
Oh
so
my God.
she,
You're welcome to
mother-in-law,
search my car.
something is, she's freaking out apparently,
She's
but
hypomanic.
but
She has a mental issue. All
Yeah.
three of the people in the car have mental issue. Diagnosed.
yeah,
They don't need my kids.
yeah, they're saying the same thing as well.
Y'all don't know her. You don't know her like we
No,
know.
I don't know.
So it's not a good environment. It's a toxic environment, and it's.
Well, I mean, considering not just you, but her own mom saying the same thing, I'd be inclined to believe it.
We were headed to where our big home is up for sale because Robert was going to bring the kids and let us see him because Lindsay was not answering their phone calls all day today. So they thought she killed herself, to be honest, and had taken an overdose or something.
Okay, so we can see this play out on these body camera videos that we've been watching, that there's this tension and drama in their lives before the arrest, which brings me to my next question. That was then, this is now. What's going on in their personal lives now? Robert and Lindsay Shiver. What's happening now? Joining me, or still with me, Tony Bruschi, and joining us now, the WTVY news director in Alabama, Ken Curtis, is with us. Ken, I understand now that she's making news again with law enforcement, but not as a defendant, but as a victim?
Well, at least as an alleged victim, Vinnie, in this case, back in August of 2024, law enforcement were called to a home here in Dothan, Alabama, which is in the furthermost southern portion of the state. They went out and answered that call. She claims that she had been strangled by her new boyfriend. She got a protection order. That protection order is still pending, as is the charge of strangulation. And we don't think it'll come to court for quite some while yet.
So what else is going on? She's a local girl, right? She won a local pageant. She's living there now. What do we know about her?
Well, we know that she went to a very exclusive private school in Dothan, Alabama. She comes from an affluent South Alabama family. She's everything that you have described during this broadcast. She kind of had everything growing up, married her childhood sweetheart. But since all of that happened down in the Bahamas, or at least allegedly happened, Vinnie, she's come back. We've had a good number of sightings of Lindsay Shiver. I had one at a local bar when she was home for Christmas. Somebody showed us a picture. It certainly looked like her. And then we started hearing of more people who have seen her around. And then this happens with the trouble with apparently who we believe is her new boyfriend, who is now serving a prison sentence and a work release program for crimes unrelated to the allegations that she made against him.
Wow. What a change in circumstance. What a change in a life. Tony Bruschi, looking at what's happening with her, it's in one direction. I want to put this up because what's going on with Robert Shiver? The last I heard, he's with the reality star Savannah Chrisley. And this surprised a lot of folks. This is an Instagram post from 2023. And it seems that they have some sort of relationship that may, I don't know if it's still continuing now, but at some point, and it became pretty public.
It did become pretty public, and lots of people talking about it going, oh, well, it looks like things turned out well for him. I'm guessing he probably saw the lovely documentary Sharknado 4 and said, she's the one for me, which she started. But really, seriously, I mean, it's one of those stories that kind of makes you feel good. It looks like they're very happy in those photos. It looks like he's been able to move on and maybe find some stability and some sanity after finally getting out from underneath this narcissistic relationship that he had with her.
Yeah, some sense of sanity. Let's not forget that if this is his current girlfriend, her parents are in federal prison for tax problems as well. So that's another wrinkle in all this. Ken, a little bit. Yeah, Ken, do we know much about the situation with the children?
No, we don't know anything about the situation with the children. We assume they are still sharing custody. It's been a long, drawn-out battle, legal battle in the courts over in South Georgia. Her hometown of Thomasville is about an hour, 45 minutes east of here. It is in Southwest Georgia. They were a very affluent family in that part of the state. Insurance business, other business interests. Yeah, this thing has fallen off the tracks. And Vinnie, everybody is asking, I don't want to get off target, well, how about the trial? I wonder if there'll be a trial because there's so much mud and dirt in this. Who wants this all coming out in a Bahamian court?
Yeah, well, that's going to be up to the Bahamian prosecutors. And the closest I came to covering a trial down there was Anna Nicole Smith and on all that drama, but that was not a criminal case. Tony, I want to give you your final analysis of what I would say is the status of what has happened here to Lindsay Shiver. Growing up in an affluent community, private school, Auburn, all of this, and now her boyfriend, her current boyfriend, she's accusing him of strangling him, and he's in prison for something else.
Well, it's very interesting. Let's assume for a moment, maybe, just maybe, that Lindsay Shiver is quite the narcissist. When the chips are down on narcissists, they try to find a way to become a victim. Now, I'm not saying that this horrible thing didn't happen to her with this boyfriend. He seems to be a real winner, already has several other charges on him this year. But I'm not going to put it past her that she wouldn't put herself in a situation where bad things will happen, and then she can be looked at as the victim when she's being looked at for something far more serious over here with the attempted or the possible charges of hiring a hitman.
Absolutely. Tony Bruschi, Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi, great podcast. And Ken Curtis down there in Alabama. Next time I'm in town, we're going to Dobbs Barbecue. How about that, Ken?
Hey, I was there last week, and when I go next week, I'll think about it. We'll have some good Southern barbecue. Vinny, good to be with you.
Thanks so much. Now, I don't know what the truth is in this case, whether Lindsay really wanted to kill her children's father. But she's not in Alabama. She's not in Georgia. She's in the Bahamas and subject to their rules and their laws. And if her words were kill him, folks on the island may just believe her. I'm Vinnie Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.